spiritual recognition, spiritual progress and development, and it's a special status that the individual enjoys as far as his relationship or her relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is concerned. So it is a difficult, very, very difficult act of ibadah, but it carries a lot of reward. Like the Quran makes it, and the authentic hadith that you have just mentioned, the benefits are there, the psychology, the spiritual benefits, the health benefit, and the social benefit. And you know, the more act of ibadah, act of worship that we do, or Muslims do, or the person does, or the more good deeds that one does, particularly in the form of prayers and fasting, and so the more good deeds that one does, the cleaner spiritually the person becomes, and the nearer to God, the person, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the person becomes, and the lighter and the better and the clearer the heart becomes a very, very clean-hearted somebody, a pure Muslim, who's very peaceful, whose everything is peaceful, who's very caring and sharing, who's very accommodating, who's compassionate, who's open to serving not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but serving humanity at large for the sake of God subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in other words, it takes the individual to a level of perfection, even though man is not perfect. But it's a general rule, it's a general concept, but at least it takes you to a very, very, very high level in terms of spiritual perfection and in terms of enhancing the relationship spiritually between the individual and God subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is our role model, and he was the embodiment of all the good virtues that you can think of in this world. And Islam also urges us to exemplify the virtues that he possessed, the virtues of love, care, and compassion. And we try to emulate him during Ramadan by extending this climate of generosity to other Muslims, assisting the poor, the needy, that you know, majority of us Muslims in this country live in abject poverty and are struggling every day to meet our daily needs. And as a result of that, now that Ramadan is over, how can we Muslims be more vigilant and adamant in continuing this kind gesture, reaching out to the poor and the needy at all times?
Okay, like I said before.
Because in Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Innamal mu'minina ikhwatun. All Muslims are but a single brotherhood. And this should be something that is a continuous process, assisting one another at all times.
You're right. Like I said a short while ago, one of the distinctive characteristics of Islam, and one of the major reasons why Islam is called a way of life, is continuity. Prophet Muhammad was known for so many ethical and moral values, good manners, and he was continuously known for those values, for those ethical and good values and manners, whether within or outside Ramadan. What used to happen with him, and what happens with every Muslim, good Muslim, is that when Ramadan comes, we intensify. That's the only thing we do. We do more, in other words. But the standard of adherence, or our level of adherence, and standard of commitment to the teachings of Islam remain the same within and outside Ramadan. But what we do when Ramadan comes, we intensify. We increase the rate of performance. In other words, we intensify. So he was known for so many good values. You mentioned sharing, caring, trustworthiness, reliability, sincerity, doing everything for the sake of God. And he was very sincere. He was very close to people. In other words, he would never want to keep distant or to keep away from his people. Because if you don't come and mix with the people, if you don't bring yourself closer to the people, you will not know their problems. And if you don't know their problems, you're not able to solve them. You understand? So all these good values that he was known for, moral and ethical, he used to observe those values within and outside Ramadan. And every good Muslim is expected to emulate the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like you said in one of the sessions. That's the one that we need to emulate. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The process of emulating him must be a continuous one, continuously. He always speaks the truth. You understand? He always commands the good and prevent evils. You understand? He was always sincere. He was always trustworthy. He was always sharing. He loved humanity. He was always very close to
Very down to earth.
Very down to earth, very humble, and very understanding too. And his attitude and approach was a very encompassing one, that he would never discriminate, regardless of people's different social status, spiritual status, and other cultural status. But for him, the human being is a human being. The Muslim is a Muslim. He treats every Muslim as a Muslim. He treats every human being as a human being. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So these good values of Islam. And you know, there is one value which is essential to our survival as human beings on earth. That is peace.
That's right.
We cannot survive as a nation, as an ummah, as a community, you understand, as a civilized people. We cannot exist, we cannot survive in the absence of peace. Peace is essential. And all these values, ingredient. All these values that I have just mentioned to you, they are essential when it comes to not only realizing peace, but also sustaining that peace. It is important that we have peace, and it is important that the peace that we have, that the peace that we enjoy is sustainable, or is sustained. So all these good values that I have mentioned are also essential in order for us to continue to live in an atmosphere of peace and understanding. And he was also always reconciling, very tolerant, very accommodating, and very open to people, and very forgiving. Unlike what happened to most of us in this time, some of us who are very respected in society because of their social status or their religious status, but they are not forgiving. You do one single mistake to him or to her, he is angry for good, and he will cut off.
Or hell forever.
Forever.
Or never speak.
That is not Islamic at all.
To him or hell forever.
In fact, that was why the Prophet ﷺ ordained that in the event of any misunderstanding, if you want to
forgive and forget.
And then in order for you to realize that, keep on exchanging salam. Salamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam.
You see, you'll get over it.
Your worst enemy, if you pass and say salamu alaikum to him, there's a problem now. You have sent a very strong signal, reconciling signal into his heart. Salamu alaikum twice, 3 times. If you do it for 3 consecutive days, the anger, the enmity will disappear for good. Will subside. And that is why it is part of our tradition that wherever we converge, wherever we meet, we exchange salam. Salamu alaikum wa alaikum salam. So in other words, as ummah, as a nation, as a people, as a civilization, we cannot survive, we cannot excel, we cannot progress in the absence of peace. And peace cannot be materialized. Peace cannot be achieved. And even when achieved, cannot be sustained in the absence of those good values and manners of the Prophet Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is your fundamental duty.
To the human race.
Good. And it is your religious duty as a Muslim to make sure that the message of Islam is extended to others. And if you are not open to others, you cannot extend the message to them. You are not accommodating, you're going to extend the message to them.
It should resonate all over.
Good. So there are so many obligations, social obligations, cultural obligations, and spiritual obligations that we need to carry out as Muslims. We cannot do them if we don't get ourselves involved with the people from the grassroots level. You understand? From the grassroots level, upward. And it is also sometimes a wrong method. For sometimes you see some of us attaching ourselves only to a particular class of people.
That's right, segregation in society,
because of their social status, or because of their
this ego.
Very good. Because they are wealthy, they are socially recognized. You attach yourself to them, and you abandon the neglected one. And I'm sure you might be aware of the reason why Surah Al-Abasa was revealed. When Prophet Muhammad was busy talking to very highly placed members of Medina society, well recognized dignitaries, to such an extent that a blind man came to him and he was trying to put his message across, but he was very busy talking to the so-called dignitaries of Al-Medina. Allah was not pleased with this, and Al-Quran quickly came down to correct Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For Muslims, there is only one measurement. There is one benchmark. That is fearfulness of God. The more fearfulness to Allah you are, the better and the higher in status you are. Regardless of material status, regardless of wealth, regardless of any other qualification. What is important is level of piety, fearfulness to God. And that is why it is wrong morally in Islam to look down upon people or to undermine people. Because sometimes if you want to
you
judge
can
people...
look down on somebody who's even better than you. He